My favorite hobby is dancing. For fun, I used to be a Zumba instructor. I've danced at festivals. I've even performed at a couple NFL halftime shows, which, by the way, are insane. Other than my three kids and my husband, there's nothing I love more than to feel the rhythm of the music and just let loose. So a few years ago, when my daughter, who was 10 at the time, sent me one of those viral social media dance videos and asked if we can record it, I was thrilled. We went outside, set up the camera in the driveway, we practiced a few times, then we recorded it. The video turned out so cute. We went back in, had dinner with the family, we said our I love yous and good nights, and we went to bed. I remember going to sleep that night thinking, what an amazing day we had together. 2 days after recording that video, 2 days after that great day, I found suicide notes in my daughter's phone. Now, if you're a parent, I want you to think back on the last really good day you had with your kid, the laughter, the smile on their face, the meal you shared, the conversation. Now, imagine they're hurting and they don't know how to tell you. I was just like you. That day, I thought everything was just fine. 15% of all suicides are from youth and young adults. According to the CDC, suicide is now the second leading cause of death for kids ages 10 to 14. I still remember those notes. She said things like, I want to kill myself so badly because what is even the point? She said, I act normal because I'm supposed to be the happy friend and no one would even care. She said, my mom would just have my two brothers and not even notice I was gone. I hate myself so much. I just want it to end. I am sick. Fortunately, we found those notes before she could harm herself, but it was most definitely a wake up call. I still remember the feelings after reading those notes, falling down to the floor and crying so much. I felt helpless. I prayed to God and I was begging for guidance because I didn't know what to do. I was shocked. How did I miss the signs? Were there even signs? I thought I was doing everything right, but what does it even mean to be doing everything right? There's the obvious food, water, shelter, and then there's what society says is right: good education, great hair, good clothes, good manners. And then there's what we believe to be right based on our own upbringing. You see, even if you had a good childhood, we all have the desire to want better for our kids than what we had for ourselves. I grew up in a household marked by domestic violence and physical abuse. So that would be the one thing I would be sure to get right. I would protect my kids at all costs and never lay a hand on them. For my daughter, I was doing all those things, but I wasn't creating a safe space for her to come and talk to me about her pain. Today, I want to talk to you about how to build a deep emotional connection with your kids that can literally save their lives. All you've got to do is follow these three words: stop, look, and listen. That's it. Stop, look, and listen. The same three words that we use to teach our kids how to cross the street are the very words we're going to use to build a deep emotional connection with them. This just isn't for parents and kids. This can be used to build any relationship in your life. The first step is to stop. Stop focusing on obedience and start building a partnership. Stop thinking that just because you're providing X, Y, and Z for them and that they are your kids, that the connection is naturally there. It is not a given. Just like any relationship of substance, compassion, and vulnerability go a long way. Stop leading with an authoritarian approach and start empathizing with your kids. Start seeing things from their perspective. Start putting yourself in their shoes. Many of us grew up here, and I brought you into this world, and I can take you out of it. And I get it. It's meant to be funny. But if you think about it, it's really troubling. What you're basically telling them is that just because you're mine, I can do to you, say to you, and treat you however I want. I get it, though. I was that mom. I was a fun mom, but I was also a yeller. I was a, you get your butt down here right now, mom. I was a, you better not say another word, mom. I was a, do as you're told, no questions asked, mom. the problem with this method is that you get trapped in this parent versus child dynamic. By design, it puts you in opposition with your kids, which makes every interaction a battle to win. And to build the deep emotional connection, your kids need to trust that you will be in their corner advocating for them no matter what. And when they don't feel comfortable coming to you with their problems and concerns, they start to seek guidance elsewhere, or worse, they bottle it all up. Oh, and that's when it becomes really dangerous, feelings quietly nagging at a little person who has no idea how to handle them. So stop putting you and your kids in these restricting dynamics. For weeks after finding those notes in my daughter's phone, I felt this overwhelming sense of guilt for missing all the red flags. But guilt. Guilt becomes another obstacle that gets in the way of building a deep emotional connection with our kids. So this is a big stop. Stop feeling guilty for what you're not doing. Stop feeling guilty for not building a deeper emotional connection with them sooner. Stop feeling guilty for what you're not doing right, and put that energy into building an emotional connection with them now. The second step is to look. Look for the disconnect. Disconnection could mean anything that feels like they're being closed off. It could be one word answers, lack of interest in conversations, always putting on their headphones when they get in the car, or simply withholding information from you. Look at every interaction that you have with your kids, and you'll start to notice the walls and the barriers. Look for ways that you may be causing disconnection. Are you blowing them off every time you get a work email, or piling on a lecture when they've made a simple mistake? These little moments will reveal a lot about your emotional bond with them. When I began to look at my relationship with my daughter, I saw that something was off, and I knew I needed to fix it, but I didn't know how. I went to trusted adults in my life, and I asked them for advice, and I heard things like, oh, she just needs attention, or take her to church on Sunday. But I knew one 30-minute sermon wasn't going to take away the kind of pain she talked about in those notes, because I was that little girl. Watching my mom come home from work and having to deal with the fits of my dad's rage, I felt that deep pain and sadness too. As I grew older, I learned to tuck my feelings aside, because just like my daughter, I felt like I needed to be strong. When I looked at it, I realized I needed to look at my unresolved trauma in order to see my daughter and wholeheartedly connect with her. So look for ways that you need to heal as a person. If your walls are up and you're keeping your kids at a distance, you're signaling for them to do the same. In my daughter's note, she wrote a lot about struggling with the idea that she couldn't tell anyone how truly sad she was. Ultimately, it was my oldest son who gave me the best advice. You see, I was looking in all the wrong places. He told me I needed to work with my daughter in order to figure it out, and he was absolutely right. So I walked down the hall and I asked her, how can I support her better? And I wish I was standing here right now telling you it went immediately well, but it didn't. You see, she wasn't ready to open up. The trust just wasn't there yet. And trust in the parent child relationship is built on a foundation of love and mutual respect, and that takes time. If you're not sure where to start, look for ways to join their world. Pick up a gaming controller and play. Sit next to the little one and draw. Grab a makeup brush and do a makeup tutorial. Just do something with them. For months, I set aside extra one-on-one time with my daughter. Just me and her, no cell phones, no distractions, just me and her. And that's when I learned the most important lesson of them all. I learned to listen. That's the last piece of the puzzle. Stop, look, and listen. Listening may be the hardest part, but it is the most important. Save the lectures and hear them out. Listen for the why. Why are they acting like that? Why are they misbehaving? Why are they so upset? You may be tempted to throw in a few, I told you stop hanging around them boys, but resist, and trust me, it will pay off. And listen to your gut to determine what fights are worth fighting. When your child's life is on the line, suddenly arguing about trivial things like dirty laundry and manners seems less significant. About 6 months after finding those notes in my daughter's phone, my family started to transform. I didn't even realize my actions were making an impact until one day my daughter came up to me and she said, Mom, I used to be so mad at you, and my friends would say that moms are always right. And now I know they're telling the truth. And I looked at her in the eyes and I said, baby girl, moms are not always right. We're human. You see, it took a lot of vulnerability on my part, something I would have never showed her in the past, but we were both becoming more authentic versions of ourselves. And that night, we decided to be accountability partners. And when one of us is off our game, we decided that we would talk about it and help. After that, deeper conversations started to happen, honest conversations about academic pressures or risky situations her and her friends were getting into. Situations that she knew was difficult, but at her young age, she wasn't sure how to navigate. Over time, my daughter learned I wouldn't be judgmental or punish her over these conversations. And now, when she asks my opinion, she trusts my advice. As parents, we're juggling so many things: bills, careers, schedules, co parenting. I get it. But if we don't take the time to listen, they'll stop talking to us all together. And that's what happened to me. 3 years ago, my daughter contemplated taking her own life, and I thought everything was just fine. I had to rethink my entire parenting approach to become the parent she needed. I had to stop, look, and listen and create a completely different relationship with her, a relationship that prioritized her emotional well being as well as her physical safety. My daughter's 13 now, and I can honestly say she's doing phenomenal. She's less anxious and more hopeful because she knows that she can talk to me about anything. And everything's fallen into place. She's even on the National Honor Society now. When I rewatch the video, the one that we did right before I found those notes, it breaks my heart. When I look back, I can see the sadness. When I look back, I can see the signs. But back then, my focus was on obedience and checking all the parental boxes. But you see, the manners and the chores and the dirty laundry doesn't matter if our kids are not alive. I know now that being emotionally disconnected from the ones that we love could have dangerous consequences. I've seen it firsthand. Creating a deep emotional connection with my daughter literally saved her life, and I'm so blessed that I can be with her now and watch her grow. She knows I'm here talking to you today, and I asked her what she wanted you to know, and she said that no matter how far gone, remember that you can always come back. You see, you can always reset, but don't wait until it's too late. Think about your own kids for a second and ask yourself, how deep is your emotional connection with them? I'm here today because I don't want anyone to feel the fear and the hopelessness I felt the day that I found those notes. If I could help one parent, if I could help one friend with a life saving bond, this will all be worth it. So please, when you go home tonight, I want you to stop, look, and then listen. Thank you.